watching this podcast, anytime you get into any type of discrepancy with a woman, you guys are going back and forth. She's provoking.
Yes.
That's just something I tell women. Don't provoke men. I was raised where you don't provoke men because men, they going to whoop your ass. You know what I'm saying? Don't push them. But men,
Get to
Sydney
your freedom.
said,
Your ego will keep you in the room because your ego wants to win the argument. And that's the immature stance.
but what you got to do?
Get to your freedom.
Your freedom
I'm
is at
10
the
steps
door.
from my freedom. My freedom at the door.
Yeah.
Right? I get up. She goes, "Oh, you leaving?" Right?
Yeah.
I get my keys. I said, "I'm going to go outside." Call her family again. Because now I'm outside, I'm getting 30 calls. Getting cussed out. Hey, yeah, you ain't shit. Shit like that, right? Hey, man.
From your house.
From inside my house. I'm outside.
And she's charging her phone your electricity.
So hold up. So here's where it get great.
Eating her
I call her
sprouts.
brother and say, "Hey, man, could you call your sister?" He said, "Thank you for telling me this. I'm going to call her right now." I said, "I think she's going to ruin my place." He says, "I'm going to call her right now." Then he texts me after that and says, "I've decided to stay out of it." Right? And let y'all work that out.
So yeah, I tell the guys that all the time, right? Your freedom, your ability, your attention is the highest asset that you have. There's no real way to win an argument when you're with a significant other. Think about it. You're trying to defeat this person that you're supposed to love or care about. It's a poor way that we've normalized having arguments. I've had an ex where she said it's normal to argue, and we argued 3-4 times a week on the nose. Is that this is what normal couples do? I was like, no, this can't be the norm. This can't be the thing that people are eager to do. Chasing after a woman's emotion, because that's essentially what you're doing. Like I said, your ego wants to be right. That becomes the most important thing. You have to prove her wrong, and you're trying to use logic. If you're going to use logic, or you're trying to chase that, but like Patricia Noe said, you're going down a one-way street and you're behind her. There's no way for you to yell loud enough, to be demonstrative enough to get in front of that. We have to, as men, understand that your best bet is just simply walk away. And guys, before we continue in the Sicky series, continue to like, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Make sure you don't miss new uploads. We try to do 2 a day, even when we're clearly under the weather. We're gonna do what we can. We'll watch this one again so we can jump in and see what we can learn.
She already tearing shit up. I want all the men who are watching this podcast. Anytime you get into any type of discrepancy with a woman, you guys are going back and forth. She's provoking.
Yeah.
Right. That is the important part I wanted to highlight in the beginning. What you're thinking you're there to argue or to discuss something in good faith, right? And I want to make this genderless because emotional men absolutely do the same thing. I've done the same thing. I want to get this emotional rise out of you. And sometimes it's something as simple as you want to make that person hurt. You're hurt. You want to make that person feel that same way. It's not a logical decision. You're not thinking what's best for this relationship. Is what I'm doing right now going to help or hurt the relationship? You're not thinking clearly. You're not thinking about the well-being of the relationship. You're just thinking in that exact point in time, you're upset and you want that person to feel how upset you are. Maybe you don't want them to cry, or you don't want them to feel bad, but you want them to feel something. You want them to recognize and acknowledge that you're upset, that maybe it's some action that they had also upset you. You want that validation right then and there. So you sit there, now we're going back to men. You're sitting there trying to make her understand logically, making sure to make her understand logically where your point of view is coming from. And even if it makes concrete sense to you, I want you guys, the men that listen to this, really go back and think, has that ever worked? And if it did it work twice, 3 times? Right? Has that been the case? Has that been the thing where you are now going to engage in this back and forth with her, where somehow she's going to understand what you're saying? That somehow it's now all going to make sense because right then and there, especially if she's just doing it to provoke you, especially if the point she may understand that she's wrong and all of this is just a simple cover, instead of walking down that path of accountability and saying, wow, I have to acknowledge where I was wrong here. No, I'm going to look for the trigger words. I'm going to look for something that I can twist, and then I'm going to poke and prod you to get you off of the track. Because if track A is the one where you have me on that proves that I'm wrong and acknowledges that you were correct and acknowledges that your feelings matter, If I can get you off B onto track B, C, D, we'll never actually talk about this. In that respect, how many times have you had arguments with your significant other where, and this is again for the men, where you walk away feeling like nothing was resolved, but you're somehow wrong. You're wrong for how you said it, and you're wrong for how you made her feel in what you said. No, because the whole thing was about provoking you. So now this is something I've had to learn years ago. I cannot try to inject logic here. I can't have a real conversation with you when you're not trying to have a real conversation. That's just it's impossible. So the best thing you can do is take yourself out of the situation. You just, okay, hey, listen, obviously this is not a good time to address these things. So what we're going to do, we're going to hit pause. I'm going to go somewhere else. You're going to go somewhere else. And when we're ready to talk like an adult, we can meet up. When you're ready to have a real conversation, we can meet up. But it's with the express understanding that this has a very real shelf life. This is not a thing that you can just, we're gonna put it to the side and keep on going. No, everything stops. Everything stops. If I came to you and brought something to you that's a real issue, and then you decided I don't want to talk about that, or I want to provoke you, everything stops. Right? We're not in the same space. We're not doing things together because now we're not treating each other as actual adults or people that are willing to be in this relationship. If we cannot communicate, and that has to be a fundamental basis of our relationship. Because if we cannot exchange ideas, we cannot exchange feelings, then there's nothing else that we can build on top of that. We can't say, okay, since we didn't get this, we're arguing right here and we can't get past this. Okay, what's for dinner? Are we going out later? Are we going to see a movie? No, everything stops right here. There has to be, and this is the fault of men. We believe this. We believe that this is how it should be, but our actions never really back that up. You can't free someone of consequences for their poor behavior. And that's genderless, right? That's genderless. If you have a man that is doing the very same thing, simply gaslighting you and ignoring when you actually bring up something, or emotionally tries to throw the conversation on back, trying to provoke you, that's not something that's conducive to a good relationship. Take yourself out of it as well. Let's continue.
That's just something I tell women. Don't provoke men. I was raised where you don't provoke men because men, they going to whoop your ass. You know what I'm saying? Don't push them. But men,
Get
Sydney said.
So, yeah, don't provoke men because they can get, you can't beat a man in a fight. Obviously, that's true. But that shouldn't be why you don't provoke men. Don't provoke them because that's not really how you communicate. That's not a good communication style anyway. That shouldn't be something that you're taught. It shouldn't be something in your wheelhouse, something that you go to anyway. You provoke your enemies, you provoke people in business, right? There's uses for that, but to someone that you say you love, why is that even a card that you have in your hand? We need to understand we need to let that go rather than I need to communicate with you with some grace, some understanding, rather than I'm trying to defeat you in an argument. Again, that's genderless. This is something that I had to really take time to come to grips to and understand. It's not about defeating you. It's not about winning, right? When we're arguing, when we're not discussing, we're not having conversations, we're arguing. There's no winning this. There's a solution. We should be searching for a solution, but there's no actual winning in this sort of thing. There never is. Once we are thinking and looking at the other person in a win-lose scenario, win-lose sort of contest, the relationship's in danger. We've all already lost. I think that's a better way of looking at it. But the point of this video is for men to understand. Even when you're afraid of there being property damage and this guy calling her brother, call the police. Call the police. If you guys are getting to that, domestic violence can escalate so quickly, right? And if it's the way he talked about it as if this is a normal thing. This happens again and again and again. It happens because the first time it happened, there was really no real consequence to it. That's it, right? If you don't hold the line when these things happen, and I'm not saying that you call the police because you're trying to get arrested. No, you call the police immediately because the police can be there. And you need to start having things videotaped and act as a witness because you need a record of something like this happening because it's very easy for you to get out of pocket. It's very easy to have your life really destroyed easily over domestic violence charges. Again, genderless. But for men, you know what happens with propensity for when police get involved. You're not really the one the party that's instantly believed. If you're in that situation, even if it's just to put the responding police officers on notice, hey, me and my significant other were having an argument at this address. I walked away from this. This is my location. Can you send a unit to check on her? Something as simple as that, right? You have to start thinking less emotional, more logical, and you have to start thinking in the future. Walk away, remain, keep keep your cool. That's the best thing you can do. If you rise to that level of provocation, you've already lost it, right? And again, we don't want to look at it and win losses in terms of the relationship, but you've defeated yourself. I like to think about it like that. Let me know what you think.